Hello, this is topic 9-6 over adding, subtracting, and multiplying radicals. So, we've talked about how to simplify radicals. Now we're going to be combining radicals. And it's just like combining like terms when we're talking about variables like x or y. Works just the same. The thing is that your radical has to be identical. So, the square root of 7 matches the square root of 7, so that means that these are like. And so 4 plus 5 makes 9 on the square root of 7. Just like if this were 4x plus 5x, that equals 9x. Works just the same. So over here, works the same way. Those are the same, so they're alike. That means we can combine them. So 8 minus 2 is 6 on the square root of 11. So hopefully these really complex things are now very simple because you've been doing it before. It just hasn't looked quite like this. Let's go and talk about number 3. Well, here we have 6, here we have 13, and there we have 6. Hopefully by now you know that none of these will simplify, and they're already as simple as they're going to get. Well, these two are the same, and that one is different. So I can combine 3 and 5 to get 8 on the square root of 6. But I'm just going to have to leave minus 2 on the square root of 13. There's nothing that I can do to combine this. They're not the same. And so that is just as simple as it gets. Just as if this was 3x minus 2y plus 5x, you would get 8x minus 2y. The same situation. Alright? Let's go ahead and talk about number 4. Combine similar terms. Well, square root of 3. Square root of 3. Make sure we grab that sign in front. Square root of 2. Square root of 2. Again, make sure we're grabbing these signs in front. So 7 minus, well, there's no number, so that number must be 1. 7 minus 1 makes 6 on the square root of 3. And 2 minus 3 makes a negative 1 on the square root of 2. And we don't need to put the 1. This is just like if it was 7x plus 2y minus 3y minus x. 7 minus 1 makes 6. And 2 minus 3 makes negative 1. It's the same thing. These is the same as this. We just happen to have these radicals that are a little more accurate. They tell us exactly what x and y are. They're just not nice numbers to work with. So let's go ahead and take a look at number 5. Alright, well here we actually get to where we have to simplify. 192 will divide. Now it's a really large number, so first off I'm going to check to see if it is a perfect square root. And it is not. Well, I notice that it's even, so I know I can divide by 2. And that gives me 96. Which I happen to realize will divide by 6 and give me 16. Well, 6 is 2 and 3. 16 is 2 and 8. 8 is 2 and 4. And 4 is 2 and 2. Look for pairs. So I've got a pair of 2's. Got another pair of 2's. Got another pair of 2's. I've got that 3 hanging all by himself. So that means that this is 5 times 1, 2, 3 2's on the square root of 3 minus 7 square root of 3. Well, 2 cubed makes 8, so 5 times 8 is 40. Square root of 3 minus 7 square root of 3. And 40 minus 7 is 33. On the square root of 3. So, first we had to simplify. By simplifying, we were able to get these radicals to match. Because the radicals matched, we could then combine the terms. So this is where we begin to deviate from the x-y analogy when we're talking about these. Because radicals, being that they're actual numbers, not just variables, we might be able to simplify them first. Just going to take a look at number 6. Here we have multiple radicals that will simplify. 27 is 9 and 3, which is 3 and 3. And 98 is 2 and 49, which is 7 and 7. And so now that I've simplified, I go ahead and work on it. This is 25 square root of 2, because nothing changes. 3 times 2 makes 6 square root of 3. And 3 times 7 makes 21 on the square root of 2. Okay. Look through there and make sure you understand where the 6 came from and the 21 came from and why this is plus and why this is minus. Make sure you understand that. And now we're going to combine similar terms. So 25 minus 21 makes 4 on the square root of 2, plus 6 on the square root of 3, because there is nothing to combine that with. All right, let's go ahead and check the next page and continue working on these. Well, 3 is as simple as it gets. 6 is as simple as it gets. Let's try 48. Well, I know that that is 4 and 12. I know that 12 is 4 and 3, which gives me a pair of 4s. I could have broken these down into 2 and 2, 2 and 2, and had 2 groups of 2. But 2 times 2 is 4, and so I can just leave these here, because I happen to notice that 12 would divide by 4. That 3, however, stays alone. And 54, well, that will divide by 2. Give me 27, which is 9 and 3, 3 and 3. Those pair of 3s, that 3, and that 2 stay behind. So we rewrite this. 7 square root of 3 minus 4 square root of 6 plus 2 times 4 is 8 on the square root of 3 minus 6 times 3 makes 18 on the square root of 2 times 3 makes 6. Hopefully by now you know enough that I can do these problems without writing excruciating detail on each one, because some of this is just building on previous lessons. Well, 7 on the square root of 3 plus 8 on the square root of 3 make 15 square root of 3. Negative 4 square root of 6 minus 18 square root of 6 is negative 22 square root of 6. And we're done. Well, that's adding and subtracting radicals. Multiplying them, in my opinion, is actually a little bit easier. Now, it's quite simple. You multiply outside times outside and inside times inside. Well, 5 times 6 makes 30. And 30 won't simplify because I know 30 is 5 and 6, and that is 2 and 3, and that's 5. It's not going to simplify, so we just get 30. Now if we do 3 and 8, 3 times 8 is 24, which of course breaks down into 3 and 8, 4 and 2, 2 and 2. We've got a pair of 2's, that 2 behind, and that 3 behind. This is 2 on the square root of 6. Alright? So here I multiplied them, and then I started factoring. That's one method to do it. As we go on, I'll show you some other methods to do. Alright, here, 7 and 2. Well, I know that's going to be the square root of 14, which is 7 and 2, which won't simplify. And 5 times 6, we've already discussed, is 30. Well, that was really easy. So we're going to talk about number 11. Here, I'm going to go ahead and start factoring these. I multiplied here and then factored. Here I'm going to factor first, and we'll see which method you prefer. Well, that is 2 and 3. That is 4 and 2, which is 2 and 2. Pair of 2's. I have another pair of 2's. Now that 3 that stays behind. So that means that this 2 comes out. And this 2 comes out. So I've got negative 2 times 5 times 2 times 2 on the square root of 3. Which, put this in the calculator, 2 times 5 times 2 times 2. This becomes negative 40 on the square root of 3. Now, depending on the problem, if it's simple, I'll generally do it like this. But the more complicated ones, I tend to prefer this way. So this is the method that I'm going to use to show you on the rest of these. So for number 12, we have the square root of 6, and we have negative 8. Well, that is just 2, and that is just 2. Those 2's are a pair. So it comes out with nothing left behind. Negative 6 times negative 8 times 2 comes out to a positive 96. Well, I also would like to point out that anytime you take a square root and multiply it by itself, that number simply comes outside of the square root. That's why we had negative 6 times negative 8 times 2. Which makes it really simple. If we take the square root of 5 and we square it, that means that the square root of 5 times the square root of 5, which is the square root of 25, which is 5. Or you could say that this is 5 and 5. We have a pair of 5's, so 5 comes out. But hopefully you'll be able to go, hey, I'm squaring something, and bring it out. For instance, down here. Well, this really means 3 on the square root of 2 times 3 on the square root of 2, which square root of 2 times square root of 2 means that we have 2 times 3 times 3, which is 6 times 3 is 18. Let's talk about how to do this with fractions. So we multiply just the same. Okay. Multiply tops, multiply bottoms. I'm going to go ahead and do 3 times 14 makes 42. 7 times 27 makes 189. And I'm going to see if that will simplify. 42 over 189. And then we get math fraction. And and you'll notice that we got 2/9. And so this is the square root of 2 over 9. Well, I don't like to have fractions inside of the radical. So this is the square root of 2 over the square root of 9. And we have another square root of 9 is 3. So this is the square root of 2 over 3. Now there are several ways to work out this problem. I could have went ahead and factored out the 42, factored out the 189, and simplified it. This one, it was easiest to solve this way. I just happened to notice this method. This is the way I solved it. There are other means to solve this, so if you work this out a different way and got the same answer, you probably did it correctly. You probably just followed a different route. Let's go ahead and take a look at number 16. Well, this makes 5 over 36, which is the square root of 5 over the square root of 36. And I happen to know that this equals 6. So it's the square root of 5 over 6. Again, this is the simplest way to solve this. There are much longer, more complicated ways that are available to you. But the easiest thing is to go ahead and find your fraction, simplify your fraction, like I did over here, and then see if you have any nice, perfect squares. Well, I hope that this has been informative to you. Good luck on your assignment, and have a good day.